Are you stressed?
Yeah, but life is stressful.
Yeah, I'm stressed.
Right now, life is stressful. It's not a joke. Every day I'm stressed, and I have to think about how to get out of the stress to go out into the real world. That's the reality of life.
I am stressed.
Do you know what? I am really stressed.
I can be stressed. I think some days are more stressful than others.
Hell yeah and hell yeah.
Hi, my name's Jort Kaur, and in 2016 I was diagnosed with depression. In that time of my life, I learnt a lot about mental health issues and that it isn't as uncommon as people think. Stats from 2018 are said to be the most shocking they've ever been. The number of people experiencing mental illness in the UK is 16 million. Men are 3 times more likely to take their own lives as women, and suicide is the biggest killer of young people in the UK. To understand more about mental health issues within young people, I'm going over to East London to meet up with Shanley Lewis, the creator of Good to Me.
So my name's Shanley Lewis, and I'm a self-care coach and assistant psychologist, as well as the founder of a company called Good to Me. So what I do a variety of things, but most of the things that I do are all around like mental health. So that's a big passion. So I've got a big passion for like mental well-being and self-care. I started to study psychology in college and then went on to study it further in university. And I took a big interest to like the module on mental health. And then following that, that really helped me to, really understand and have a bit more empathy for what was going on with my dad, because it wasn't something, especially from my background, coming from a, black ethnic minority group, mental health's not usually spoken about a lot. So it wasn't a conversation that I had with my mum or anything like that. So I had to find out what this was. So after studying in university, went to go and actually work within mental health, and I worked in quite a lot of different areas. So worked in acute mental health, forensic and perinatal, and that really kind of opened my eyes, but also helped me to exercise this piece in me, or I'll say this thing or value in me, which is to help people. Working in the on the wards, we use self-care as an indicator of people's mental state. So we used to check in on people's self-care, because if their self-care was poor, then that would mean that their mental health was poor, because self-care is usually the first thing to actually go when it comes to our mental health being impacted in any way. So that this is usually the first telltale sign. You might notice that people might not want to kind of wash, take care of their personal care, things like that. Those are the first things to go if you're like feeling low, sleep's affected and things like that. That's where I kind of started to explore more and notice that this is a skill that we are not taught, and I was running groups on the ward, and this is the only time, or this is the only space where I see a lot of people usually getting these groups, learning these skills, and that's when they've got into crisis. So I said, why can't we have something where we prevent people from getting really unwell sooner, and help people to learn these skills to cope with life, because life is really, really hard. We get so many things get thrown at us, we don't know what's coming next, and I think if we don't have these skills, we're not going to be able to bounce back, and we'll just kind of keep on going back. So that's where Good to Me was created, where I've kind of been coaching people in skills around self-care, helping them to create their own self-care routine and just have that balance. So assertiveness, boundaries, morning routines, things like that, just for them to implement into their life, to maintain and improve their mental health, because I believe we all have mental health, so we have to look after it. Just like physical health, we have to look after our mental health. So just like we go to the gym, there's things that we can do to exercise and look after our brain as well. with Good To Me that we have like different things that help to support people in that practice of self-care. So there's the self-care box. We have items in there that are aimed at teaching people the skill of self-soothing. So it's found that if you engage one or more of your senses, it's a really helpful and effective way to unwind and de-stress. So instead of maybe just lighting a candle, maybe you'd light a candle and have a relaxing bath with essential oils. So you're trying to engage as much of your senses at one time. Yes, we have workshops, events, all different kind of things, and we go around to school, colleges, university, workplaces as well, to share these skills with people. Well, I think recently there's definitely been like an increase, and there's lots of statistics to support that. At the moment, there's 1 in 10 children in the UK who are experiencing kind of some sort of mental health problem. Personally, I feel like the world has become much harder. There's much more use of technology, our phones, things like social media. But I think also it's also people from a young age not gaining the skills like maybe self-care skills, self-management skills, or just understanding about mental health to be able to know when they are actually going through a problem. A lot of young people are not getting the right interventions at the right time to help their needs, and that could be one because of the stigma around kind of mental health. So for us to kind of eradicate that, we need to talk about it more and really just have more conversations about it and not leave it to be such a taboo subject. But we are working, and I think we're getting there. Well, definitely I'd probably say to really definitely take a social media break, have a break, and if you feel that maybe you can't have a break from social media, thinking about different accounts or people that you're following, even though they might be your friends, they might be your family, and you love them, maybe it might be that you have to maybe unfollow them for a while, block them, mute them, so that you are protecting your environment, you're protecting what is coming in, you're protecting what's going into you, you're protecting, because I think a lot of things get fed to us, so you're really sieving out what is working, what's not working. So doing a little audit on your social media and saying, okay, for now I'm not going to follow this person, and just writing it down, so you can write their names down, and then you can come back to them at a later date when you feel a bit more stronger, when you feel like you're in a better headspace. Because there's some great people out there that can be quite triggering for people, but also then, aside from having the social media detox, there's 5 things that we can do to make sure that we're maintaining good mental health. And a lot of the time, if we're kind of feeling pressured, stressed or overwhelmed, we usually kind of pull away from the world, people, friends, family, and it's about connecting. So making sure that we're connecting with somebody that we can confide in, somebody that we trust, any of the good relationships that we maybe deem as good relationships, to really take time and maintain those, improve those, maybe reaching out to somebody that you haven't spoken to in a long time, and it doesn't always have to be face to face, it doesn't always have to be on the phone, it can be message, but find a way to do that. And then the next thing is learn to maybe keep your mind active and try and learn something new. So it could be reading a new book, trying out a new hobby, picking up something that you used to know and you don't do anymore. So it could be like playing piano, something I want to do, play the piano. And then the next one is exercise. So there's thousands and thousands of research that talks about the benefits of exercise, and I know it can be really difficult for some people to maybe go into the gym, but it's not that we're asking you to run a marathon. It can be literally going for walks, a nice brisk walk, just to get that heart rate up and to release some of that stress and that cortisol from the body, which is really, really important. So exercise, there's so many benefits to that. It releases all those happy hormones in us, especially if we're feeling low, and we also get that sense of achievement. The next thing I would also suggest is to do a random act of kindness. So kindness goes a really, really long way, because you're doing it to somebody else, but it's really lifting your mood and making you feel so much better. So literally giving people a compliment on the street, like, you know, genuine compliments, smiling, gratitude, literally just saying thank you out into the atmosphere, thanking somebody maybe that you haven't had time to thank in a long time. Maybe they've done something, and a lot of the time you can be so busy or so caught up or so used to receiving maybe a certain type of love or care from somebody that we don't even say thank you. So maybe just going and saying, you know what, I really appreciate what you did for me on my birthday or the other day, thank you. And seeing their response will make you feel so much better. And just smiling as well at people is really a lovely, nice act of kindness, or volunteering. And then the last one is notice. So really take time to kind of pause and notice what's around you. Just maybe sometimes thinking about what are the 5 things that I can see, what are the 4 things that I can smell, hear, touch, taste. So really engaging your senses and taking time to be mindful. So when we're eating, when we're talking with our friends, really removing distraction and focusing on the present moment, bringing ourselves back to the present moment. Well, so I hear that a lot, that kind of taking care of yourself is selfish, but how I kind of let someone think about that is, if you are not your best and if your cup is not full, what are you giving to that other person? What benefit are you giving to that other person? So it's actually being selfish if you are giving half of yourself to somebody. If you haven't got, you know, your battery is, you know, only 20% full, and you know that the person who maybe you want to care for, or the person that you want to be, this job, this career, this studies that you want to give your 100% to, you're only being able to give 20. So in order for you to do your best and be your best, you need to make sure that you're filling up your cup, you're recharging your battery, so that you can be the best you in the world. You can turn up, you can show up as your best self. Because I always think about, like, if we haven't had enough sleep, we all know how that kind of like feels. We haven't had enough sleep, we're tired, you know, how are we to other people? You don't want to talk to anyone. You're grumpy, don't talk, like, if, you know, you're groggy, you can't concentrate, so you're not doing really no good to anyone else that you're around, also to yourself. So I think that it's actually not selfish. And there was a documentary that I watched, and I think it was Oprah interviewing Iyanla Vanzant, and she said it's not selfish, it's self-full. So I love that.
Although mental health issues are on the rise in London and across the UK, there are many organisations just like Good to Me, ready to help. Personally, the most important point I've taken from all this is that it's important to talk. Whether it be big or small, someone's always there to listen to you, and someone always cares about you.